Yep.
This is a storyboard for a movie Love Favors the Unfaithful, starring Victor as Mike, Karthik as Dave, Rachel as Alice, and myself, Angela, as Candace. Basically, the storyboard outlines all the shots and I guess the scripting for the movie. Alright, so the storyboard starts off with the very first scene. The first frame is an exterior of Alice's house. And then the next frame, the second frame, is an interior of Alice's bedroom, and you see her on the phone. She's talking to someone on the other end who just told her she just won the lottery. And then the third frame is a traveling shot of Mike and Candy in the car driving towards the bar, and then we see an exterior of the bar. And then the fourth frame is an interior of the bar, and we hear Mike on the phone with Alice, and he's saying that's great news, Alice, we'll celebrate, because she had just told him that they won the lottery. The fifth frame is also an interior at the bar. We see Candy and Mike in the bar having a drink and just talking, and Mike is telling Candy that Alice had just won the lottery, and then she asks him what they're going to do with the money, and he replies that he has no idea. The next frame, which is the second scene, is a traveling shot of Mike driving home. Then the frame after that is an interior of Mike and Alice's house. They're in the dining room having a meal, and basically Mike is asking Alice to pick up the money, and he wants to know exactly what she wants to do with the money. The frame after that is still the two of them in the dining room, the interior of the house, where Mike is telling Alice to save the money in his bank account because they don't really need it. And then the next frame is the third scene, and it's an interior of Alice's bedroom. And she's on the phone with her friend Candace. She is trying to tell Candace that she won the lottery. The next frame is an interior of Candace's office. She's on the phone with Alice, and she's just telling Alice that she's really happy. Well, she's not really happy, but she's just telling Alice she is. And she asks Alice what they're going to do with the money, and the next frame is back to Alice's bedroom, where Alice replies that she's not sure what to do with the money. And then it goes back to an interior of Candace's office. That's the next frame, where Candace tells Alice to invest the money or save it at the bank. And then the next frame is back to an interior of Alice's bedroom, where Alice is telling Candy that was the same opinion Mike had about what to do with the money, I guess to save it. And then it goes back to another interior shot of Candace's office, where Candace just tells Alice to basically trust her and to just do it, like save the money at the bank, because that's probably what's going to be best for them in the long run. And then the next frame is back to an interior shot of Alice's bedroom, where Alice is telling Candace basically that she trusts her, but it's Mike, her husband, she doesn't trust, and that she was going to open a bank account and save the money in there. And then it goes back to another frame of, the next frame goes back to an interior shot of Candace's office, where she tells Alice that the plan sounds good, and the plan to save the money in the bank account. Alright, scene four mostly takes place in Mike's office. The first frame of the scene starts with an interior of Mike's office, where Mike is sitting with his friend Dave, and he's just informing Dave that Alice won the lottery. And then camera moves to a shot of Dave, and he replies saying that's good, that Alice won the money. And then it goes back to the next frame, goes back to another shot of Mike, and he says, I know, but I think she's planning on keeping the money all for herself. And then the fourth frame goes back to a shot of Mike, where he replies that, so, like, what does it matter that she's keeping the money? And then the next frame goes back to, the next frame is another shot of Mike in his office, and he says that because he's a husband, he feels that he deserves some of the money. And then the frame after that is a frame of Dave in the office, and he says, so what are you going to do? Then the next frame goes back to another shot of Mike, where he basically tells Dave that he needs his help, that he wants Dave to help him hire him upstairs. And then the next frame moves back to another shot of Dave, and you can see the surprise on his face because he realizes that Dave is trying to kill Alice so he can keep the money. And then the next frame is back to a shot of Mike in the interior of his office, where he replies to Dave that Alice is too stubborn and she isn't going to give up the money, and he feels that the only way he can get any of the money is if he kills her. And then the next frame is a shot of Dave, who replies that basically because Mike is his friend and because he owes Mike a favor, that he's going to help Mike hire them upstairs. And then it goes back to the next frame goes back to another shot of Mike, where he tells Dave to ask them upstairs to, I guess, attack the following day because Alice isn't working, it's a day off of work. And then scene 5. The first frame of scene 5 is an exterior of an office building. It's Mike's office building. And then the next frame after that is an interior of the parking lot just outside of Mike's office building. And we see Dave walking away from, I guess, the office, and we see Candice walking towards him. And Candice says, "Hi, aren't you Dave, Mike's best friend?" And then the next frame is a shot of Dave responding to Alice, and he says, "Yes, aren't you Candy, Alice's best friend?" And the next frame after that is a frame of Candice replying, and she says, "Candice, I thought you looked familiar. Are you coming from Dave's?" And then the next frame is another shot of Dave responding to Candy, and he says, "Yes, he told me about the lottery. I'm sure Alice told you about it." And then the following frame after that is a frame of is a shot of Candice replying to Mike and to Dave rather, and she says, "Yes, Alice told me about it. What else did Mike say?" And then the next frame is a shot of Dave replying her, and he says that he tells her that Mike wants him to hire him upstairs basically. And then the next frame is another shot of Candy, and she asks Dave if he knows of any mobster. And then the next frame is a shot of Dave responding to Alice that he didn't know of any mobsters around. And the next frame after that is a shot of Candice giving Mike a piece of card, and she basically tells him to call the number on the card because it's the number of I guess an agency that I guess hires mobsters or have mobsters in them or whatever. And then the next frame is a shot of Dave collecting the business card from Candice, and he says, "Thanks, I'll give them a call." And then the last frame of that scene is a frame of Candice just talking to herself after Mike leaves, and she realizes that Mike is planning on killing Dave, and so she decides that she's going to call the phone number that she just gave to Dave just to make sure to get a good person to, I guess, kill Alice. And then the next frame is scene 6, and most of the scene takes place in Dave's house. The first frame of this scene starts up with an interior shot of Dave's house, and then the next frame is an interior shot of Dave's, I guess, living room. We see Dave on the phone talking to someone, and he tells whoever is on the other line that he asks them if they could send the mobster to 123 Alphabet Drive. I guess that is Alice's house address. And then the next frame is still a shot of Dave on the phone, and he says, yes, okay, tomorrow at 2 p.m. I guess he's trying to book the appointment, the time. And then the next frame is another frame of Dave still on the phone, and he says it's all set up 2 p.m. sharp tomorrow. And then the camera moves to a shot of Mike's office in the next frame, and we see Mike on the phone apparently with Dave, who had just told him that he had said he had called the mobster and everything was planned and he'll be at his house at 2 p.m. tomorrow. And Mike responds saying, "I knew I could count on you." And then the next frame is scene 7, the beginning of scene 7, and it starts with an exterior of Alice's house, and we see the mobster driving towards the house. And then the next frame after that is a shot of the mobster shooting Alice from behind. And then the next frame after that is the mobster shooting Mike, who had just walked into the door unaware that there was someone else in the house. And the last frame, which is also the last shot of a movie, is a shot of the mobster taking off her mask, only to be revealed that the mobster was actually Candice. And we hear her talking to herself, explaining why she had to kill both Mike and Alice, saying that she killed Alice basically because Alice had caused her a lot of pain in the past, I guess. And she had to kill Mike basically so she could keep the money for herself, because if Mike was around, she probably wouldn't get that luxury of keeping the money. So that is pretty much the storyboard with all the scenes and the shots for our movie Love Covers the Unfaithful. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for watching.